Hi, Luca. Great to meet you.
Thank you, Kristen, for having me. Pleasure to be on.
Yeah, Bitcoin just hit over 60,000. The market is totally buzzing right now. And Polimec is mining is up, which means every day people can now jump on early and grab some awesome projects. It's an exciting time. So, how's everything going with the mainnet launch?
Doing really, really well. Thank you very much. We're
Mhm.
in the final preparations of getting everything ready and finally
Mhm.
launching our fully decentralized protocol. So we're looking very much forward to fill up the market with fundraising infrastructure for Web3 startups and beyond. And with
Mhm.
that, we enable all startups building up in Web3 to have higher probabilities of success by enabling them the most efficient fundraise over Polimec to support them.
Yeah. And Polymic is shaking things up in funding. How does it really change the game compared to the usual way projects get their fund?
So, how it's changed is that centralized methods can be seen as gatekeepers. And that comes from how it's set up. You have a company, you have your user base, you have your clientele. So if you have a project that goes to a centralized player that wants to do a fundraise, they usually offer the deal to their client base. Now, how you can really optimize that from a capital efficiency point of view is over a
Mhm.
decentralized protocol of what we do with Polimec. Because
Mhm.
what we enable is that we can get a global access to the user base. So everyone globally can participate in these deals. And on
Mhm.
top of that, you have a diverse stakeholder base. You have institutional participants, professional participants, and also retail that is included.
Mhm.
Now, that goes on both ways, not only the investor side, but also the projects being able to raise. So the project is being evaluated by the global investor base. So there is no gatekeeping or one, two, or three people that have to say that you are allowed to raise or you're not allowed to raise. It's a free market approach to get the highest efficiency.
Mm. Do you think people will start losing interest in the traditional ways of fundraising, like private and public offering in Web3, especially with the new methods popping up, like inscriptions, no VCs and no big holders in the beginning?
So if investors are losing interest in centralized funding methods over decentralized funding methods? I personally don't think so, because in the end, investors will always invest if there's a high quality deal to do it. Now, where we have a comparative advantage to all the centralized fundraising and financing methods is we have lower cost structure, higher capital efficiency, so the project conducting their fundraise increases their probability to be successful later on. Now,
Mhm.
the biggest value add for the Web3 startups to specifically choose a decentralized funding method over a centralized one is significantly larger. All the
Mhm.
wallet users, the Web3 users, are already onboarded. They receive the token directly in their wallet after the contribution. They don't have to trust anyone, they can verify the code. So everything is automatically executed. And once they receive the mainnet token of the protocol, they have it in their wallet. They can already use the application of the mainnet they invested in, compared to a centralized provider where some of the clients are not transferring out the token to a wallet, which is a huge value add for a project to onboard users and to have stakeholders providing them feedback of what needs to be improved for a greater adoption and traction going forward.
Okay. With Polemic kicking off, the first batch of funded projects already on board. How are they doing? What make you pick this as the first group?
So the projects that we currently look at are very, very diverse. So it goes from early stage startups to later Web3 projects that are right before their launch. So we have various projects that have conducted multiple funding rounds in the past already. And what you mentioned nicely before is how can you do a bottom up approach where you let the community in as well, compared to only the large investors that get access to the early stage deals. On our side, we can facilitate both. If you have a project that already has the large investors in and is right before the launch, their largest focus is usually to get the community in, so to already onboard the users with the latest rounds. Now, dependent where they are, they need a different mix of institutional investors, qualified professional investors, and the community, and they can structure that over Polimec. And this is also what we strongly see from the projects in the discussions that we're currently having. This is the biggest added value they have, because they can really target their user base and make it tailored and the most interesting way for them to participate.
Great. Polimec is built with Polkadot tech, and you guys get 100 yes vote on opening a channel with Polkadot Asset Hub. So are you planning to focus on Polkadot project first? Are there any special benefits for Polkadot users?
Indeed we are. And it was a true pleasure to reach the 100%, even above the 99.99%. And it was a major implementation step on our side, because it enables that projects that get the funding rounds conducted over Polimec, they can choose how their participants can invest in the project. And with the Asset Hub integration, we can enable USDC, USDT, and DOT from the very, very beginning, which we expand to a broader universe so that everything can be settled on chain. Initially, you're correct, we're starting on the Polkadot ecosystem first, because our tech stack provides them the largest additional value benefits. What that means is all the contribution tokens, when a project raises, the end users, they have Polkadot native wallets where they can receive the tokens directly in their wallets. So they're already onboarded for the other mainnet that comes out as well. So we're really leveraging the dog fooding aspect in Polkadot. So the projects that are building on Polkadot show their users that it's so easy to participate over the native Polkadot ecosystem tech, which is also what they're building on. So the users already have a first touching point and experience, and then get onboarded much easier and are already used to the familiarized actions they're taking on chain.
Happy for dot holders. Okay. I heard about the ambassador program going global, and you're looking for some passionate folks in China. How can someone get in on that? And what's the requirement and the rewards involved?
So our ambassador program was a huge success, and there I can't even say it well enough how grateful we are for our community. And the ambassador program is now being led by our two global ambassadors of Gino and Zenith. So everyone can reach out directly to Guido or to Zenith. That can be done over Telegram or over Twitter. And the pre-requirements to become an ambassador is that the two global lead ambassadors on our side do a pre-selection. And as you mentioned it nicely, we're looking very much forward to expand further with the ambassador program. So very happy to receive a lot of interested participants and ones that want to join with a new, fresh mind, that also have some prerequisites they will pass on required knowledge on Polimec and how they can provide value in the ambassador program. And they will also be rewarded for the tasks conducted based on which tasks they can do to represent the interest in the industry, the representation to do it accordingly.
Okay, and also Polkadot will help Polimec to get some Chinese ambassador. And if somebody is interested in that part, you can contact Polkadot as well.
Thank you very much, Tristan. We're very excited.
And now Polimec's mainnet is up and running. And what's the next big thing you are focusing on? How can users get involved and make the most of it at this stage?
Our biggest focus is real world utility. So with that, directly after our mainnet, we're actually just getting started. We're not at the finish line. So now we have the decentralized protocol that is up and running and is out. And the biggest focus is to conduct the funding rounds over Polimec. So now the users on the Polimec protocol do not only have staking and governance implementation that is live, but now they can start evaluations for projects. They can start looking into projects they're interested in, and they can start participate for the first time into early stage Web3 startups and projects at the same time the institutional investors get in as well. Now, during that year, we will have a lot of funding rounds that participants can be excited about and names they're familiar with. And we strongly focus on the market expansion. So market expansion on our side is two ways. One is to offer our tech stack for a multi-chain purpose. So there we're looking at EVM expansion and WASM-based expansion, that we can cover all the EVM and WASM-based chains first for participations, and then to enable the funding round for these protocols as well. And the second part is to expand for more users that are not that native in Web3, so that also traditional finance investors have an easier way to participate directly in these projects.
Cool. Talking about the funding stuff and compliance is the thing that we have to mention. The compliance is super tricky with all the different rules across countries. Can you break down what it means for Polimec, and what are the biggest hurdles, and how are you tackling them?
Yeah, industry calls for regulation in crypto since a long time, right? And we see that very pragmatically because regulation is there. So the only thing crypto has to do is we have to implement what's already there in the traditional financial market system and apply it. So the approach that we took at Polimec was, how can we do that in a way that is Web3 native? So we want to be in adherence to all the regulatory requirements of the traditional financial market regulations, while as well remain true to the DeFi ethos of a privacy preserving way. So we handled that with our partnership of Deloitte, where we enabled the KYC credentials. So users are KYC'd. Nevertheless, they don't show their private sensitive information on chain, because that can be tested in a way that on chain only the hash is visible. So they still retain all their private sensitive information to themselves. What we do on the protocol is we have to adhere to the KYC standards and also to the AML guidelines. And these are the applicable frameworks that we're taking into consideration also with our partnership with the CMTA.
Okay, great. 2024 is a big year with the Bitcoin halving and ETFs kicking off, bringing a good vibe to the market. So what opportunities do you see for the Polkadot ecosystem in all this?
I actually see a huge opportunity in the Polkadot ecosystem, and I already hear your excitement about the movement Bitcoin already did so far. And I can tell you, you're not alone. We hear it from a lot of investors as well. And it's a huge step forward because it's the first time we actually do have institutional adoption, meaning that DeFi and traditional finance made a big step forward to becoming one in the future. So it's the same thing how it was in the past, where banks and exchanges were completely separated. And as of now, for all of us, it's very normal that we take out our phone and we can execute the trade if we want, right? We don't even question it. That will probably be the same trajectory going forward, how at the moment people looked at DeFi and traditional finance very separately. And in a couple of years from now, it will both be in the same way accessible, and we won't even question it. So the opportunities where we see the strong advantages of Polkadot is what the underlying tech enables. So for this year, we're very, very excited for the trustless bridge of Ethereum, Snowbridge going live, as well as the core time sales. And this is where our biggest focus is as well, because it lowers the entry barriers for Web3 startups to build on the Polkadot stack significantly. And we also see it in the demand. We see great projects appearing and applying to Polimec that want to raise, that are being ready, that have built during the bear market, that are now ready to launch. So there are very exciting things coming that can benefit from Polkadot 2.0.
Great. And for Polimec, after the core time launch, is there anything you have to do or you have to adjust to that?
Not directly, as we have the parachain slot with the core time sales that will be amended. So we do have a parachain for 1.5 years, a little bit more going forward, that will be taken into consideration. But the most interesting part is what we're looking at in the structuring for the new projects that are coming up. So dependent on the stage and how the core time sales model over the brokerage facilitation can be conducted in the end, we see some very interesting opportunities that can lower the startup costs to launch a project on Polkadot, which will increase the adoption rates for new Web3 startups coming.
Okay, great. As we wrap up our interview, and is there anything you wanna add, or something to say to our community?
Something that I have to say to your community is that we're definitely very, very grateful for all the applicants. Feel free to reach out, get in touch with us. We're very happy for all feedback you can provide for us as well. So we're looking very much forward to get the feedback, take everything into consideration, and improve consistently, ongoingly. For Polimec and our biggest focus going forward, stay very, very tuned of additional partnerships that we will announce. Our focus is that we have more partnership packages, such as the one from Subsquid, that projects that are raising over Polimec get significant benefits from our partnership network to help them to increase their success going forward.
Okay, great. And thanks for your time. And may everything about Polemic a great success in
Thank you
20.
very much, Kristen.
Okay, see you.
Bye bye. Thank you very much.